My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire world. How are all my peeps doing? Guess what, folks? Fund Drive is over. What do we say again? Fund Drive is over. And when Fund Drive is over, what does that really mean? We're back to regular programming. And what does that mean? The two geniuses in the studio is going to tell us what that means. How are my peeps doing this morning? How are my peeps doing this morning?
Well, Fund Drive being over with equals hallelujah. It's all done. And you know what? It's KPFT's birthday today. 54 years ago, on March the 1st, that would be 1970, this radio station signed on for the first time. And later on, we'll be playing the song that it signed on with during the Great Wide Open. So, happy birthday, KPFT.
I know, but I am so happy, and you know what is the best thing about it? We actually made our goal. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, man?
Well, we went over our goal. By the time it's all said and done and the trickle ends come in, it's going to be over our goal. That means that this radio station is well loved and well supported by Houston's community. They think that we're doing the right thing. They think that we're on the right track, and we're just going to follow them. So there you go. And Jack, you got some wisdom too. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw it to Jack.
No, go for it.
Yeah, no, I was just going to throw it to Jack and see what wisdom he had.
Very little sometimes.
That's me on most days.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, my brother. And it's, look, you are with us all of the times. It's not just sometimes, it is all the time. It is all of the times. Hey, talk to me with your wisdom, my brother. Give me some of that wisdom.
Well, this is going to be on Social Security. Americans left and right don't want to see cuts to Social Security. They would rather see the poor, old, morbidly wealthy pay their fair share of taxes. We must end the neoliberal economic policies that keep the poor and protects the wealthy from paying their fair share of taxes.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that causes revolutions, We don't.
I'm glad that you said that, because you're absolutely right about revolution. I mean, that is where we're. If we don't get things cleaned up soon, right? That is where we are going to be with. And I hate to just put it that way, but sadly, that is something that we better be very careful about, because look, the people are going to just take so much and eventually not so much. I mean, that's just the reality. People are not going to forever take the condition that we're currently in as the status quo. They will react in the long run. But hey, Johnny, what's going on, my friend?
Well, I was expecting to hear do 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 do. I guess I'll have to wait, huh?
What does that mean?
No, brother, you're not gonna hear that, Johnny. But I tell you, the good thing that you hear is that Fund Drive is over. Fund Drive is over. So I am glad to hear that.
Back like the plague. But I'd rather deal with that than the canker sore known as Donald. Anyway.
Oh, now, man, come on.
Yeah, he's a sure. Oh, and a dinosaur. He's a dino. Well, not that kind of a dino. No, Pelosi.
Yeah, we know what kind you mean. Yeah.
So,
anyhow,
you're familiar with political cartoons like the one they did of Richard Nixon back in the day, where they exaggerate your facial features and his nose is big like a cliff, and they showed this guy skiing off Richard Nixon's nose. You remember that political cartoon?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, so I have a new image to replace the one that you planted in my head of an oversized brown bald guy with flapping bird wings feeding raw knowledge regurgitated knowledge
Uh-huh.
into the mouths of KPFT bird listeners. So here's the new image. I'm a little winded because I've been up all night, and I'm getting ready to call.
Jenny, I've been wondering. I mean, it's like, man, the guy is excited this morning. At first, I thought the excitement came from not having to listen to us ask for money because it's over now and we made our quota. But man, you're happy. Anyway, finish up so I can go ahead and bring Brother Daniel Cohen into the discussion.
Okay, so let me see if I can conjure this image up for myself again. What was it now? This is what happens when you don't sleep for 24 hours. But let me see. Okay, so we're going to erase you feeding us knowledge, regurgitating. And instead it was going to be, oh, crap. You know what? I'm going to have to call you back.
All right. Well, you call us back. All right. Let me tell Brother Cohen. Good morning, Daniel. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, man. You got me up bright and early, so I'm ready to talk politics and politics done right with my good friend. What's going on with you?
Well, we're fine. We're having a little. Actually, what just happened is I just heard you a double, so I've got to fix that in real time. So I am going to tell you that we're doing great. We're even doing better because you're on the show, of course. As soon as I get that echo out, it's going to be even better. And that's what I am working on right now. You know, when you set these things up in real time, every so often, you get into that trouble. I think I just fixed it. So anyway, so what do you have to talk to us about today, my brother?
Well, today we're discussing some statements from a few days back from Second Baptist Church pastor Ed Young, who gave a speech reminiscent of Father Coughlin to applauding pews, about a 10 or 15 minute drive actually from where I am, very close to my own voting precinct, in which he called migrants garbage and actually specifically labeled and named regions and countries from around the world in doing so. And also then the speech didn't get any better from there, spewed misinformation surrounding immigrant populations. You know, we've seen a real decline in this, not just with the rise of Trump, but we saw a decline in factual information and an increase in demonization of immigrants for political purposes over the course of the Trump administration. And there was massive pushback against that. And now it seems actually that the entire issue and the entire discussion has started to drift off to the right. And without specifically naming that what Pastor Young did is completely outside the mainstream, we risk normalization. We risk going to sleep. I've even heard people say, yeah, well, he said that, but that guy's always saying things. And I think there's a little bit of fatigue to make a statement. But that's the sign, isn't it? That's the sign that the conversation shifted.
Yeah, I mean, this is dangerous. First of all, given that we had some problems getting started, I want to first make sure to tell people who you are. So, folks, with us this morning is Daniel Cohen, president of Indivisible Houston. And we were, you know, Daniel is an activist throughout, more than an activist, actually, throughout Houston, making sure that our democracy is maintained. And yesterday we were speaking and he told me, hey, had you seen the Chronicle article, and I think he had actually seen it elsewhere as well, where Pastor Ed Young, a religious stalwart in Houston, somebody who believes in love, somebody who believes we should care about our fellow man, somebody who follows the Bible and supposedly the teachings of the people Christians follow, which is Jesus Christ. And he then said, referring to those people who are trying to find some freedom, trying to find some economic success, trying to do better for this country, people that we need in this country, he calls them garbage. He calls them garbage. The implications of that, folks, is having one of the major Christians in our country be able to refer to other human beings that way devalues them. And it means when you devalue a human being, it gives people authority to also do things to them. Please continue, my brother.
You know, it's interesting is that Indivisible Houston, the organization I chair, actually several years ago, following the DHS order, projected the words "Jesus was a migrant" onto various churches and other institutions around the city of Houston. It was covered by the Houston Chronicle. And Second Baptist Church was one of the places that we went to make sure that there was an understanding of what was happening. And the pushback we got was natural from these churches because they don't want, some of them, let's say, don't want to acknowledge that these concepts fly flagrantly in the face of what they're supposed to teach and what has been traditionally taught for a very long time. I mean, you know, mileage may vary given on a religion, depending church to church and sect to sect, but very clearly what Second Baptist preaches isn't aligned with anything but political cause, political purpose, and personal wishes and personal desires. It's completely selfish. What he did, and it's entirely dangerous. You know, there was an article this past week, an editorial that erroneously and dangerously referred to protesters as representing a scene out of 1933. But if you want an actual scene out of 1933, then it's a hate-filled pastor delivering a speech, preaching to applauding pews, the wrong ideas. His responsibility as a leader is to make sure that his congregants are well informed, that they're making good decisions. I would, you know, I can't speak for him, but I would presume he would agree. I don't know that you know, God gave them brains, and so perhaps they should be using them. And one way to use them is to be skeptical of anybody who tells you hate your neighbor, hate your brother, ditch the stranger, and you know, like push the poor away, push the immigrants away. We'll always get pushback. Specifically, I've noticed in these conversations where they say, well, Jesus wasn't an immigrant because he went to an area that was inside the kingdom, which is applying this weird 20th century frame to what was going on at the time. Look, anybody that needs to know it should know that if you flee from power, you are a refugee. And which lines you go over doesn't really matter. You are seeking asylum at that point, and there is no asylum seeker that is more clearly defined that way in the entire Christian religion than Jesus Christ, according to the letter of any Bible that you can pick up and read, other than the Satanic one, which isn't really a Christian Bible. So the point is that, yes, he is flying in the face of his own teachings. Yes, he is flying in the face of Christianity as it is practiced. But in addition to that, extremely dangerous to just let people say this kind of thing in our own backyard. We've had 7 politicians who have come out so far in the Houston area and said something, and I want to name them because, and I won't even critique any of the individual statements about how I wish they would have been or not, because it's important for us to just go ahead and account right now. We'll count Mayor Turner, since he's recently out of office, Commissioners Briones and Garcia, Representatives John Rosenthal, Armando Wale, and Ron Reynolds, and Christian Menifee, who put out a very good statement and tied it into the SB4 ruling, the federal court blocking SB4 from being implemented yesterday. But to be honest with you, I'd like to see more religious leaders come out. I'd like to see more electeds come out. I'd like to see more nonprofit and business leaders come out. I think some are working on a response, so I'm willing to give a little bit of room. But I'd like to see a more coordinated response from the entire community whenever these things happen. The Hotel and Restaurant Lobbying Association, they wouldn't survive without immigrants on either side of their coin, whether it's the service side or the customer side. And there's various industries across the state of Texas that would collapse if we didn't have our siblings in our communities from all over the world.
Now, none of this is by accident, Daniel. I want to go into that narrative in a little bit. But before I do, we have Tag on the line, and I want to bring Tag into the conversation. I also want to remind everybody that they can go ahead and call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Extension number 2. Fund drive is over. So we have full talk now, and guess what? But of course, if you still want to hit extension number 1, we are always in need of your support. But again, we are out of fund drive, 713-526-5738, extension numero 2. So let's go to Brother Tag. Tag. How are you doing, my brother? I don't hear Tag yet. Is Tag on the line?
Well, he was.
Yeah,
he
was on the line. Okay. Maybe he's on mute, and we're going to get him in. Tag, please call back.
He went and got some coffee.
About him.
Yeah, he went and got some coffee. Yeah, that's what he did. His tag always calls back.
Called back. There you go.
There we go.
No, I don't know if that's tag. That's a Houston number. But anyhow, here's the deal that I want to hit. All of this is calculated. I have a piece that I was trying to prepare for the show this morning. I have to confess to the audience. I had a long day yesterday, and by the time it was ready to put all the videos together, I just didn't have the energy left. I'm not as young as my brother Daniel Cohen is anymore. So I couldn't quite finish that video. But it is a video from MSNBC piece that shows how everybody is talking in sync about this immigration issue. And it's really occurring because the economy for the statistics on the economy, not necessarily on an individual basis, are through the roof, really. I'm not talking for people individually because that's another story. But the economic that they expected to run on is not there. And plus they have the abortion issue, the IVF issue, and all these things that are simply making things havoc. So how do you solve that problem? You create a massive number of hateful situations where you can get people to hate, and you highlight the few things. So before I go back to Daniel, some recent reports came out, hard facts that shows, one, the immigrant community commits a lot less crime than the born citizens of this United States. Also, all these places that our red state governors have been sending immigrants to, those undocumented immigrants, the crime rate didn't go up, didn't stay steady, but the crime rate went down. It is easy to look at individual issues here and there and say this crime occurred or whatever, but those are the statements of fact. Immigrants don't come here to commit crimes because they don't want to be caught. Anyway, Daniel, come in, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, well, look, there's been studies for years on the impact of immigration. And I'll say this, anything that you can point to, any service policy, whatever it is, right? There's going to be pros and there's going to be cons. And so if someone were to say, is there a con to anything that we would ever say? Of course there is. But we've seen over and over again, there is a net positive from immigration to the United States. Now, there are negatives that come from our system, and in other words, not letting people come out of the shadows, so that we have issues when because there are people who definitely pay into taxes. They pay their sales taxes. There are a lot of people who pay their income taxes and things like that too through DACA and other various means. We have wage theft, right? That happens because of our system. We have people who work, they never get paid, they get exploited, they get deported, things like that. We have families that get ripped apart because of our laws. So there's lots of downsides to the way that we do these policies, but it's for the purposes of political expediency. That's why Eric Adams is saying what he's saying. And that's why his number two is saying what she's saying, because it's very easy for them to pivot over toward the right on immigration, because it's hard to instead do the difficult thing of educating the public, as you do every single day so effectively, to really have an open conversation with people. In fact, I think if there are folks out there that believe any of this MAGA style, talking points about the border right now or about immigration, I think that we should have the discussion about it, because it's largely based on lies. It's a grain of truth with a few lies next to it. And I think you're right. I think it is calculated. That's why everyone from everybody on the right starts using the same RNC talking points within a matter of an hour.
Migrant crime. It's all over Fox News. It's all over OFN. It's all over Newsmax. And then I started to hear some of my friends, my good right-wing friends that talk to me every day at 3:00. They listen to Politics Done Right at 3:00, and they're giving me all these examples of migrant crimes, and they're parroting the same terminology. I need to go to Augie. Augie, come on in. Folks, please give us a call, 713-526-5738. Fund drive is over. You can feel free to call and not have us hear us say, please hit number one and don't. Look, it's over, guys. So give us a call. we're back in full fledged. Augie, my brother, talk to me, sir.
Yeah, I like that tune that you started the show with, but that's the one I used to go to sleep with back in the 50s and 60s. But Dean was right about Ed Young. I saw him on TV on Sunday morning one time after this political talk show, and right off the bat, he started talking about the crime here in Houston. He didn't talk about the Bible or anything. He was blaming it, sort of like on the Democrats, the crime that we were having.
Right.
And but then he's got $1 million home, and so does Joel Osteen, and Pat Robertson, who started that Christian network. He started going kind of demented, and he went political too on his cable religious show, and then they tried to push what was it, 10 Commandments on front of our courthouses here. If they really want to push Christianity, instead of the commandments, they ought to put the Beatitudes that come in the New Testament about how we're supposed to treat our fellow man. But they don't want to do that. And there's other preachers that for years have been preaching their Sunday sermons, telling their congregants, you're going to go to hell if you vote Democrats. And they said those words. But nobody does anything about this. They're violating the IRS laws.
The law.
This, but,
right.
Yeah, they're criminals themselves. Ed Young was a criminal by talking like that, and so are the other Christian sort of Christian preachers that are telling people they're going to hell is vote Democrats. But it's a great day. There's an election going on, and people need to get out there and vote and know what they're voting for right now against stuff like this. And Jesus Christ didn't have $1 million home when he was around. He didn't care about the money. These Christians are making the dollar their God, not Christ. When they have $1 million homes, they have these jet planes and all that. But people need to wake up to all this, and now's a great time with the election coming up. If you care for Social Security and Medicare, and people wanted the news shows to be like back when Walter Cronkite was there, but nobody. So the Republicans aren't aware that the Republicans are the ones that took that away. If a news show lied or made a mistake, they corrected it. They never equated truth with lies. And the Republicans now say, hey, we can say whatever we want to. You're stopping us from saying what we want to. But not if you're telling lies and misinformation and propaganda. They're equating truth to be equal with lies. And lies were never equal with truth. Truth should have trumped lies, but that's not the way the Republicans think. They're pushing their propaganda. But anyway,
it is a shame. It is a shame, folks. I accidentally didn't throw the stuff on the stream as we started, but it is up on the stream right now on all streams, both at KPFT or both at facebook.com/KPFT Houston, as well as at politicsdoneright.com.tv, YouTube's channels, etc. Vicky Nicolaides says it's good time for a third party. Vicky Nicolaides says in elections, yeah, but the problem is we don't yet have the infrastructure so that the people who are, let's call it the progressives that want change to actually win. So we are going to have a show because, a lot of folks have been asking me about third parties, etc. We need to have a show, a practical show, Vicky, on these particular issues. Anyway, Brother Augie, thank you so kindly for calling as usual. And by the way, I want to give you a special thanks for all the contributions that you gave over our fund drive and what you've constantly given. Thank you, brother. Peace.
And thanks for all the people you bring on, like Kim Hogg and Sean Tier was on there too, and others.
Yes.
Bring on. So this is the only station I think that does that and let them speak like they do. And thanks for all.
That's our goal, brother. That's our goal. This is what we are doing here. We want to make sure and bring thinking people out on this show that, like we have Brother Cohen on right now, stalwarts in our community. All right, let's go to Tag. Thank you, Augie. Tag, come on in, brother. Sorry we missed you. Are you there?
I'm here now, yeah. How you doing, Egberto?
Talk to me, brother. I am doing fine, sir.
Just very quickly, shout out to Howard and Jack. Just love what they do there at the station. I just wanted to compare and contrast different states and different governors for a moment. And this, these people coming from outside the country. We know how Abbott's been dealing with the immigrants coming. But Governor Whitmer up here in Michigan, and of course she's a Democrat.
Great governor.
And we're a Democratic state. She actually come out and asked Michigan residents to take in some of these migrants coming in. So, public plea. I mean, how would we see that come across with Abbott? Would you think he'd ever come out and ask Texans to take in migrants?
No.
And there's been some great there's been some great stories about people who have taken in migrants, and they've been very beneficial to the people who have helped them out. So I think that needs to be said today.
Let me tell you something. When you do good, and what a lot of people don't understand is reflection. Here's what people think. People think, oh, we treat these people nicely. It's going to open door for people from all over the world to just come out here because we are treating them nicely, and it's going to open the doors. There are two rationales, because that's not the only one. One of them is to simply use these people as props to win an election. Make people fear these people so that they'll vote for the ones who are going to address getting out these people that people fear. That's one. The other side is, well, if we really are nice to these people, we're going to get an influx of these people, and this has a more benevolent act in that you're just preventing something you can't control. Both of them are false, right? Look, I'm from Central America. All right. I came to the United States for a better opportunity to go to college or whatever. If I could have done at that time the same thing I could in Panama, I would have stayed my you-know-what in Panama. Right. But let's be clear here. The United States came into Panama, and I can give you story after story after story as to why many of us in Panama who have upward mobility come to the United States of America. But you ask anybody from France. There was a couple in France that wanted. Was on the Moore movie, the Michael Moore movie. This couple from France. They thought that they wanted to come to America before they knew what we represented, etc. They said, "Do you know in America you're not guaranteed 5 or 6 weeks vacation? Oh, do you know in America that you don't get health care? You have to pay for health care, and you can actually get, if you don't have the money, you don't." I mean, they went to these entire narratives. The person said then, this was on the Michael Moore show. I don't remember the exact response, but it's something to the effect of, I guess we'll go there on vacation. Because look, the truth of the matter is those of us who come to the United States come because of some force. And I'm going to tell you honestly, a lot of that force has its genesis in what we do over there. Both if you talk about Jamaica, you talk about Venezuela, you talk about Colombia, all these other places. I can tie the knot to how it happens. But Tag, I got to go to Bard. Anything else you want to say before we go?
I just would like to say it's a great day that Sweden's come into NATO, and it's not such a great day when what's his name comes to Mar-a-Lago from.
So when anyway. Orban, yeah.
Orban comes to Mar-a-Lago.
Thank you very much for that, Tag. I want to jump to Howard. Thank you, brother. Howard, come on in.
If there was ever a lesson to be learned about third-party candidates, let's look back at the election of Bill Clinton versus George Bush. Ross the boss, both times. I remember well. Yes, Ross the boss, both times, interfered with the election. I say interfered. He didn't interfere. He was running as a third-party candidate, which just simply split the conservative ticket. So third-party candidates, that's... hey, I'd like to try one. But the thing is, the American public is so indoctrinated to vote either Democrat or Republican, there's going to be a hard time weaning them away from that to go for a third-party candidate.
And the structures as well, Howard, the structure to get on the ballot. Right now, the thing that I was talking to you about with I don't remember the candidate that came over here to raise $1 million to get on the ballot in Texas. If you can't be on the ballot in all these 50 states, there's no way you're getting 270 electoral votes.
Oh, exactly.
There you go.
So that's, that's my 2 cents. Because I remember, Ross Perot and his flip charts and all this other stuff, and everybody made fun of him. But, he really had some pretty good ideas. But another thing is, you can't run the government like you run a business, because it just doesn't work that way. A business has balance sheets where you take in more money than you spend. So the government can't do that. They spend more money than they take in.
I try to explain that thing about money a few days ago, and I want to do an entire show about that, because the government account is not a credit card account. And not only that, it doesn't even behave like a credit card account. We need to go into that sometime, Howard, because the thing that drives me the most crazy is when I hear we need to run it like a business and we need to only spend what we have. Oh my God, it's a complete lack of understanding, and it's not their fault that they're saying that. That's what they've learned.
Well, that's what they think. Yeah, they look at the model and go, "Well, wouldn't this work for government?" But no, it doesn't.
Right.
Government is a completely different model. It operates on a different set of standards. So it won't work.
All right. Let me get Daniel to chime in real short for a while before I jump to Bard, because I know Daniel has something to say here as well. Daniel.
Well, we talk about third parties. The brief thing that I want to say about that is you're talking to somebody who is a big believer in accountability within the party, and I'd like to say has some credibility toward it. A lot of our discussions around the district attorney race at a local level have been different because we made sure to push information to the public, and we used party mechanisms to do it. So just maybe I'm not defending a two-party system. I'm not looking to say that, but I do encourage people to look into the deeper mechanisms of their local parties to see if there's ways to make change there.
From within.
I think it often goes untouched. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe without all of that. Now, I want to welcome Peggy Lopez. Good morning, Peggy from California. She said, looking into immigrating to Mexico. We need to talk about that, Peggy. And Vicky Nicolaidis says, I am immigrated to Greece. So, hey, we have somebody listening from Greece. We have somebody listening from Barcelona, Spain. We are all over the place, man.
Are they migrants or expats? That's the question. What are they?
I don't know.
There's no difference between a migrant and an expat is whether or not you're American going to another country or if you're someone else coming to America. That's the only difference. A couple of migrants went in.
Yeah. Well, Barcelona, Spain, she actually wakes up actually she's already up from Barcelona, Spain. Vicky says she immigrated to Greece, not from Greece, to Greece.
She's a migrant. She's just an American migrant, right?
Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, let's go to Bard. How you doing this morning, Bard? We're going to connect. There we go. Bard, you're on now, my brother. How you doing, brother?
Yes. Good morning, sir. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am trying to do look, I am just happy that Fun Drive is over so I can spend more time with you guys, man.
Me too. I'm just wondering when you and Tag are going to take in some immigrants to your house.
Actually, I have several times, earlier on in my life. Right now, I just don't have the wherewithal. I have a daughter who's had 2 strokes and a wife with lupus that is flaring right now. So I don't have and I'm trying to do this activism stuff. So my plate, I can tell you, is full. I only got 3 hours, but for those people who can, I want you to listen to Bard, because Bard is giving us the opportunity here in Texas to show that we are good people. And just like we have expected others to take us in, because I tell you what, Bard, a lot of Americans come to Panama, right? And our homes are always open for Americans who come and visit us. I'm also have friends in Limon, Costa Rica, where Americans like to go there and backpack and that sort of stuff. And the homes are always open for them with open, loving arms. So I agree with you that for those Americans who can take a few people in, it'll work. Like Tag spoke about earlier, how Governor Whitmer out there, instead of calling these people vermins, she opened the door and said, people who can accept some of these migrants, can we do the American thing, the loving thing, and bring them in? Continue, Bart, please.
Well, I agree with you. This is a coordinated attack. We've got Catholic Charity, Lutheran Services, Hebrew International, and they're now wanting to meet these illegal aliens down in Panama, and they want to fly them straight in. They don't want to.
Actually, let me tell you why Panama has become central, my brother. Panama has become central because of the Darien jungle, right? To pass through. By the way, I'm from Panama, so I know what I'm talking about, my dear brother. But here's the thing. Let's start. The reason you refer to these people as illegal aliens with a modicum of disdain it's because of how you were taught about what these people are and what they bring. Now, if I showed you that because of government actions that you support, it's instrumental in this migration that's been coming for some time now, I am sure your loving heart will start thinking differently. And that's one of my goals, to let people understand what's going on, not to use a couple of killers that get through in this country as an example, but to use the life of most of these people and why they're coming here as an example. Continue, Bart, please.
Well, I don't support any of this. I would build a wall 30 feet high, and there would be nobody coming across it. These people come.
And let me ask you something, Bart. Bart, okay, now that you've said that, Bart, hold on, Bart, hold on. Hold on, Daniel. I want to ask Bart one thing before you come in, because I know where you're coming from, Daniel. Bart, let me ask you this: have you ever heard of Yellowstone?
I've heard of it. Yeah, Yellowstone National Park.
Okay, Yellowstone is a big volcano. Okay, it's a big volcano that's under Yellowstone Park. There is a good possibility it's overdue for a hell of an explosion. And when that explosion occurs, a lot of Americans are going to be displaced. And there's a good likelihood that Americans are going to be flocking two places, Canada and Mexico. I want us to stop thinking, hold on. I want us to stop thinking that somehow we are so special that there are not conditions that will occur here in the United States unforeseen to us that will cause us to immigrate. But before you continue, I want to bring in Brother Daniel because he wants to address it, and he's itching for a snatch. Go ahead, Daniel.
I'm curious how he would pay for the wall, if it would be out of the taxes of immigrants who are already working here. And then at that point, once he's built the wall, if the revenue would dry up, or if he thinks that we should tax middle class and working class Americans, because obviously, that's what they need is to be squeezed while the wealthy get away with everything. If you want to ask who should be taking in immigrants, I'm wondering if you're calling for billionaires to take in immigrants. I'm wondering if you're calling for people who have excessive resources to be able to take in immigrants. This sounds very similar to Ed Young, who smacks around people who don't have any money in their pocket, gets his pews to demonize them and cheer and rant and rave and go wild-eyed. And bloodlust, and then turns around and offers no reasonable solution to the problem because there's no depth of research whatsoever. So, Bard, let us know how you're going to pay for it.
That's for you, Bard.
Congress to pay for it with border security. Their border security, $20 billion.
No. I can't let you go there. Who's going to give us the money? Congress doesn't materialize money. Are you saying they should print the money, or they should tax people? And who gets taxed and who pays for it?
Just print more. We're giving a bunch to Ukraine. Let's just cut off $20 billion there, and we can build a wall with it.
That's awesome. That's you've congratulations. You've demonized immigrants and crashed the economy, Bart. You're a great leader. We should all definitely make you president. Which third party quack label are you going to run on? Because I'm sure that you'll get all kinds of votes, except that the Republican Party apparently has already welcomed you with open arms. That is the silliest policy proposal I've heard in quite some time. I'd like to give you big congratulations for that,
Daniel. Let me go back to Bard, because I think this is something that we need to. Bard, I'm going to ask you something, because I'm hoping you're a steady listener to this program. I hope that you listen with an open, or try to open your mind to listen to the things we're talking about, because hate is simple, right? Hate makes us allow us to make a whole lot of bad decisions. And I think, Daniel is a bit more sarcastic than I am. Daniel is a young activist. I am a little bit more mellow than my brother is. So my question to you is, are you going to, as you listen to Politics Done Right over the next several months, are you going to listen with an open mind? That's my question.
Listen. We have a system.
Bard, I ask a question. Just answer my question, Bard, because I want to know how to address you going forward. Are you going to, I listen to you, trust me, I do. Are you going to also listen to me with an open mind?
I have an open mind. That's why I support Democrats. I'm supporting Whitmire. I'm supporting Kim Ogg. I'm trying to save this country. We have legal immigration. We have illegal people running over the border, swimming the river, jumping through.
All right, Bart, I tell you what, I'm not going to, I have a full set of phone right now, and I know where your stance is right now. All I'm going to say is this. I hope you continue listening to the program, and I want you to continue listening to the program. I hope there's something that I am going to say at some time that's going to trigger you to start thinking and not parroting the misinformation. But I talk to you later. I need to jump to somebody that I haven't seen in a while. Thank you, Bard. I got to go, Bard. The phones are completely full. Let's go to Terrence. Terrence, come on in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
You can hear me. Okay. Well, you know who Donald Trump is, right?
Yes, I do.
And you know that he's running for president in the next November election, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, he's going to lose.
I actually, you want me to tell you something? I actually think it's going to be a landslide. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I think if the Democrats don't blow it, there is enough out there for a landslide win. And I'm not talking about on the presidential level. I think the position that Biden has taken with Netanyahu, I'm not talking with Israel, with Netanyahu, is going to hurt his numbers. But I think Democrats from the state house right up the chain, it's going to be a landslide if we don't listen to the elitists on the coast, but if we start listening to grassroots activists like my brother Daniel Cohen here. I think we're in for a landslide. I mean, I'm going to tease him a bit. There is some work he's doing in this county alone that's going to bring some people in with a landslide. And I think this nationally is going to make a difference. Anyway, continue, Terrence.
A landslide for Trump?
No, a landslide for the whole Democratic Party.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not predicting a landslide, but I'm just predicting that Trump's going to lose.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you, my dear brother Terrence, and I don't think I've spoken to you before, so thank you for listening. Thank you for calling into the show. Okay.
Well, he lost the last time, so it's a safe bet he's going to lose this time.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think.
Have a good morning.
Thank you, brother. You have a great morning. All right, let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning, Preston. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. Talk to me, my brother.
I wanted to remind you that in the past I brought up the one of the biggest drivers for crime is income disparity, but I didn't really have the opportunity to tell you why I brought that up.
Okay, tell me why you brought it up.
income disparity and the lack of social safety net always increases crime and produces a more violent community. So any party that is really focused on reducing crime and making society safer would be supporting income equalization, and they would be focused on efficient social programs. Instead, there's a party that is doing the exact opposite while they're trying to promote fear. And fear is a weapon of the weak. Anybody that's trying to scare you into voting for them instead of offering you something is trying to get away with something. And they're preying on your intellect, which should be a insult to most of these people.
You're so right, Patrick. And you know what? It's the only push, and it's not even a pushback. It's a sorrow. The only thing that's right there, brother, is that unfortunately it works. And I really need your help and the help of everybody to learn how to handle that fear inkling, right? Because if I listen to Bard, look, I'm going to tell you something that I do. I listen to what people say and how people talk, etc. And what I try to do is I try to tee off of one good thing I hear out of them, right? Because if I can get them to grow on the good thing they already believe in, I feel I can reach I come that step closer to reaching them, right? Now, when you brought up about fear being weak, that is so true. Now, how do we break that? How do we work on that? It's the thing that we still have to perfect. I don't want to scare them into my side or our side. I want them to see the benefit of being on our side, if you will. Does that make any sense, Patrick?
Oh, yes, sir. And multi-subjects are easy to look up and find studies on them.
Right. But anyway, Patrick, I appreciate your call, and you keep listening, keep calling, keep sharing. Before I jump to Johnny, you want to add anything to that, Brother Cohen?
Yeah, briefly, I'll say he's absolutely right about income inequality, albeit I might add hyper-localized income inequality is what usually people focus on. But that is really, as far as we can tell, the root of crime is a very complicated discussion, but that's the best answer so far in terms of statistics as to actually addressing it. I will say I have no problem telling the world that they should worry, and perhaps we would even go so far as to say be afraid of someone like Pastor Ed Young. But I do understand where you're coming from, Patrick, that when you just peddle misinformation and falsehoods in order to scare people, that is completely immoral. And it is the way that we've seen reactionaries in both the Republican and Democratic parties, such as our local DA, frankly, if I'm speaking for my own opinion here, have tried to scare people into voting for them and to supporting their policies. I agree.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, because if you hear somebody saying crime is bad and the immigrants are doing this and they're lying to you, and you're making statements based on that, and you're using anecdotal statements to prove that, and we come out with the actual numbers that say that's not true, and the lived experience. Look, I'm out there. Daniel, you're out there in the field. All of us are out there in the field. Look, somebody could shoot me tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. Somebody could pop a cap on me while I'm driving tomorrow, and it would be a random act. But for the amount of time that we've been out there, and all of you that are listening out there, that you've been able to go to your restaurant just fine. You've been able to do all these things just fine without anything happening to you. Most people never have anything happen to them. The only experience you have is the fear somebody's trying to tell you that something is going to happen to you. Look, I could get shot tomorrow. That wouldn't change my stance that says crime is rampant, because most people aren't. But anyway, let's jump to Johnny, and then we're going to go to Brian. Oh, no, actually to Harry before Brian. Go, Johnny.
Okay, so I am grateful for you, Egberto, for a variety of reasons. And today, for yet one more, you remind us in the way that you relate to people with a genuine, warm, heartfelt thoughts and feelings, and you were so kind and gracious and generous and brave to respond the way you did to Breitbart when he asked you that rhetorical question. And I think it was meant to be rhetorical. And I bet he was surprised to hear the response he got from you. So if Breitbart is still listening, I'd like for him to call in Monday and tell us under what religion he was brought up under. Was he brought up a Catholic, a Baptist, fundamentalist, or was he brought up an atheist? Because here's why I'm asking. Back in the day, Ronald Reagan, and now fast forward to today, other Republican Party politicians, like that guy, that theocratic wannabe who's in charge of the U.S. House, Johnson. These guys are all saying that we need to be a Christian nation. We need to bring prayer back to public school because God is what's missing in our public schools, and that's why people are sinning and committing crimes and stuff. Yeah, well, how did that go for Breitbart? I'm guessing that he was brought up with religion, Christian religion, and the fact that he responded with a black heart to you, it made me so angry, and I'm trying to censor myself, but I remind myself that not everybody's Egberto. We have a lot of Breitbarts out there, but we also have people like Brian, who I feel is on the cusp. I'm listening to Brian in between the lines, and he wants to come around, but he is not quite there yet, but he's coming soon, and I look forward to that.
Let me tell you, all my callers, I respect and consider them good people, and let me tell you how I can deal with folks. And time caught up with me, but I have to say this: we're almost out of time, but I have to say this. What taught me to do certain things is I understand that externalities is why people feel the way they do. And if I cop into that, I have copped into the evil folks that are the ones that are putting this stuff out. I can't. But Johnny, I'll talk to you later. I got to go to Harry for 90. Harry, I'm shortchanging you today, brother. But let's bring Harry in. Thank you, Johnny. Harry, I'm shortchanging you. I'm sorry. I'll fix it next time. Real quick, Harry.
That's okay, Berto. Thank you, Mayor of Politics Done Right, with your bright comments. I wanted to talk about third-party candidates and on the middle of Spencer Cox, but I don't have time to talk about that because I was very disturbed on that when I was listening to that show last night on NPR. But I'll call you early Monday.
Thank you, Harry.
To talk about that.
Harry, and I appreciate you. And like I said, I'm sorry I have to kind of like throw you off to get Brian in, and then I'm off to throw Brian off as well. So, Brian, I need to talk to you as well. Come on in real quick. Say what you got to say, and then I got to go.
Yeah, I want to quickly talk about Lena Hidalgo and her being fired from Houston Galveston Area Council.
Just say it. Just say what you want to say.
Yeah, her excuse was, we don't have enough representation, so I'm not going to go 52 consecutive times. All right, if she had any knowledge whatsoever, she could have went to one of the meetings and said, I need more representation. Instead, she went on vacation. So,
all right, thank you, Brian. Let me just tell you that we voted on that issue here in the last election. I hope you voted appropriately in that election. But thank you, Brian. I got to go because I got to give some time here to Brother Howard and Brother Jack in the studio, and then for a closer from our Brother Cohen. Come on in, studio.
Okay, I was just going to add that as long as there are principals' offices in schools and children waiting to see the principal, there's going to be prayer in public school. I guarantee it. All right, Jack, what you got?
I think I'll quote old Kinky Friedman and say, don't build a wall. Some of us might want to leave.
And on that light note, we turn it back to you.
All right, and I'm going to turn it right back to Brother Cohen. A closer.
Yeah, please get involved in the movement to make Houston better. Go to indivisiblehouston.org. That's indivisible, like one nation, indivisible Houston, like this wonderful city we live in. .org. We are a progressive democracy movement with thousands of advocates in the Harris County area. We advocate on a wide variety of issues. We do pressure people across different parties. We come from a progressive lens, but we hold people accountable. We've been doing that this cycle on 4 on-ballot races, and we hope to see you at future events. And please get involved. Reach out if you have any questions. Daniel@indivisiblehouston.org.
Thank you so kindly, Daniel. And folks, please support all these independent activists that we bring onto the show frequently, because this is what we do here, my friends. Anyway, I want to thank the entire audience. I want to thank every single caller. I want to thank my brothers in the studio, Jack and Howard. I want to thank the guests that comes on. We cannot do this without you. I want to thank all of you who gave us great contributions. I will have a video to say thank you. I made my quota. The studio made its quota. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.